Hello, this is PioSOLVER 1.10 release video. There are a few new features and a lot of fixes, so let's get to it. One big new feature in this release is ICM. So now you can solve trees with ICM structure defined. This is useful for some tournament situations, sit and go situations, and so on. So you can do it post-flop here or pre-flop here. We are going to do an example for pre-flop because that's more visible and also faster to solve if we focus on a pure pre-flop trees. So to open ICM calculator, we have this. Now we can insert stacks, like let's say like typical sit and go structure, and then I will do maybe like this: big stack, one small stack, and some maybe stuff like this. So as you can see, the ICM for calculations, they refresh instantly, so you can define more stacks and you can play around with it. It refreshes instantly as you change the stacks. That's one nice feature, but for now we're going to focus on those two players, IP and OOP. So I'm going to construct a simple tree which is going to be push or fold from small blinds. Fold. Out of this. So this is a very simple tree with ICM structure. So first we are going to solve it without ICM structure. Go here, go solve already. So we can see that the IP player who has a push or fold decision pushes 53% of hands, and then it's called in 32%. So this is a solution without ICM. Now we can check ICM, and for now the stacks are quite equal, like 100, 110. This. Because the smaller stacks needs to be the same as effective stack, right? So we solve this. And we can already see that the solution is a bit different. There is 57% raise, and the call is only 20%. It was 35 before, I believe. And we can play around a bit. For example, if we give IP a big stack, let's say 500, and OOP is going to have a small one, then we can expect that the IP is going to push a lot more hands because OOP have to fold. Right, so let's see if that's true. And yeah, we now have 77% raise and 23% call. And if we reverse the stacks, so if we do small stack for IP and big stack for OOP, we can see that now IP is pushing only 41% or 42% of hands. So this is as expected, right? We can play a bit more if we, for example, if there are more smaller stacks like this, and this one is big. There's only 34% pushes preflop, right? This makes sense. And if we reverse that, those stacks, we can expect IP to push really a lot of hands, maybe 100%. We'll see. Yes. So every hand is now a profitable push. And even though IP is pushing 100% of hands, OOP can only call profitably with 13%. This is expected with ICM because there are a lot of stacks, of small stacks, so it's very risky for OOP to lose a null in, right? So this works both preflop and postflop. You can define any structure you want. Internally in the solver, you can define any function on chips you want, but for now we're only making ICM available. But for programmers out there, you can use any function on chips, so you can test different models, not only ICM, but some different models as well. Okay, so that's it. I hope this is easy to use. Just one thing you have to remember, that effective stacks need to be the same as the smaller stacks of those players, right? Because for this, this has to check. And other than that, it should be very straightforward. You can play around. You can add more, cash prices. It's very nice that it refreshes instantly, so you can see how small changes influence the stacks, right? And the ICM of those stacks. Anyway, so that's it. I hope it's easy enough to use. Next feature is improvement in node locking interface. It's still not not something we hope in the final version it will be better, but for now it should be way more usable than before. So I have a tree here which I solved before. This is I think MP against big blind tree in 100 BB spot and with some simple bet sizes. So we go to the flop, we check OP, now IP makes continuation bet. Now we have an option to raise, call, or fold. So we are going to bring node locking interface, and to do that we can find it here, or just click Ctrl N. Yeah, it's a bit bigger than my screen share, so it's smaller. So now we have this new interface, and it's very similar as before. You have fixed, proportional, but one thing you can do now is you can open a range explorer here. So for example, we want to log for a raise. Let's say we play against a player who only raises sets and 2 pair, check raises, right? Fixed. And calls with, let's say, any pair, any draw, and falls the rest, right? I want to do this and this. So that's what we want, right? Sevens. Yes. So this strategy we want to log, we check log all hands here and set strategy and close. And now we have this strategy logged. And we can see that the node is logged here. It's important to check because we have now realized that a lot of people miss this radio button here, and if you do this, you are not going to log the node. So it's important that you check either log all hands or log selected combos, and then it tells you that you need to choose the combos to log, right? Okay. So when we are with a node locking interface here, there is another option to reset all strategies in the tree, because usually when the solution is already very good and then you want to node lock and resolve from that point, it's a good idea to start from scratch instead, because the solver has problems adjusting those strategies because it remembers that it solved for many iterations before. So what you want to do after locking is reset the strategies in the tree, and you can do that by going to tree and reset strategies in the tree here. And now we can see that those are equal now. It still remembers our node lock, which is nice because reset strategies it respects node lock, so what we logged before is still here. But all other decisions are in the initial state. And now you can go here and solve from here. I'm not going to do that now because click go and you just wait, right? Yeah, I'm not going to do that now. So that's node locking. Here is a reset strategy in the tree, and yeah, so that's it. I'm going to load the save again so I can show more features. Okay, so we have our tree again, and another small feature here is usually you could show ranges for actions like this. You could left click and you show check raising range here. You left click here and there's a calling range, and then there is a folding range, right? But there was a problem that you may want to show ranges which are not fold. So you want to show all the hands which are not fold. So this and this combined. And now you can do it by right click in an action. So if you right click fold, it shows all the hands which are not folding. So left click, those hands are folding. Right click, those hands are not folding. And the same with all other actions. So those hands are calling, those hands are not calling. Those are check raising, those are not check raising, right? So left click, right click. That should be easy to use. And now we are also showing what information is shown. That should simplify things. So for example, when you show strategy and EV, it tells you that it's all past strategy and EV. If you click here, it's action range for a call. So range for a call, right? To show EV, it's going to show EV or OP. Okay. So another nice feature is you can now generate preflop order from the solution at given points. So I'm going to load my preflop solution. This is, by the way, 20 BB heads-up solution. So we have min raise, we have limp. After min raise, we have all-in raise, smaller raise, or a call. And after limp, we have isolation raise or check. I mean, it shouldn't be called isolation, but people usually call it anyway. So, and this is the solution. So we see that we should raise 36% of hands and limp almost 60. This is, by the way, very good solution. It solves to 0.17 BB per 100 hands, and it's done on big subset of flops. So this is very precise. This is, by the way, nice thing about this new solver, that is preflop solver is way more precise than before. So usually you should be able to go below 1 BB per 100 hands. Anyway, so I was going to show the preflop orders. So now when you show, let's say, EV for IP, right? You can right click on this area and choose copy preflop order. Then when you go to range selector, you can paste preflop order. And then you have those orders, right? And this is the one from the tree. You can save them here if you want. So preflop orders, save current preflop order, and that would be OP, right? It's going to appear here. And now if you choose that, you have this order. So I think this is a very nice feature. You can do the same for IP as well. I mean, we did it for IP, now for OP as well. So that could be a bit different. So yeah, again, copy preflop order and then you can paste to range selector. Okay. So now there is range explorer improvements. So to show that, I'm going to load my tree again, PioSOLVER tree. Let's say we go to the term. Maybe here we open range explorer. So there are some new options here. First is the graph area. So you can graph, let's say, OP equity, and you can graph both layers equity, right? You can also go like this and compare hands. You can add EV to that, right? And also show it for one player or for the other, right? Or for both. Yeah, also equity realization as well, right? this is equity again in comparison to equity realization. So you can play around with that, and I think it's very nice to have. There is also now a way to show strategy in the Range Explorer. That was something a lot of people asked us to add, so now it's available. You can do EV rescaled, EQ, equity realization, and strategy. Right? So yeah. Okay. So another feature, a small improvement, is rounding and range selector. So when you have range arithmetic here, and you can round ranges. So to show that, I'm going to go to C fields ranges. Let's say we have a 3-bit range which has a lot of junk here, and now we're going to test our rounding feature. To be honest, it's the first time I'm using it, so let's see how it works. Round up to multiples of 1.10. So that should round to 10%, right? And we're going to do that. And yeah, those junk hands before they disappeared, and that was rounded. Right? We can do it again with, say, BB call. Maybe this time we're going to round to 5%, so it's a bit more realistic. Yeah. So now we have multiplies of 5% everywhere. So yeah, you can round ranges here. You can also multiply them by a number. This is something sometimes used to scale the ranges. So let's say you want to multiply by 1.1 to make everything 10% bigger, right? And if you want to scale this range to have like 65%, so you're going to multiply maybe again 1.1. Yeah, you have 65.6. So yeah, this is maybe a niche use case, but a lot of people work with ranges a lot, and then they need those operations. So that's added. Okay, so another small feature is now in a tree building you can use only one race size if there was race before, in addition to bed size. This is useful when you have trees with multiple bed sizes. Let's say like this. You have those race sizes everywhere. Maybe here I'm going to do only one, so it's not too big. So, sorry, I made a mistake. It's not a race size here. This. So the tree is 863 megabytes. Maybe I'm going to do bigger stack. Maybe like this. So now the tree is going to be 2.3 gigabytes. But in some I built a tree. So and the problem is that there is a bad raise call. Then we have two raises here, and this is maybe not very useful to have. So we can use only one raise size if there is already raise before. Let's say we do it, make it like 5%. So now this tree is going to be way smaller, right? When we use that option, because there are not many raises after the raise is done. So here, raise call. And now it's only one size left, right? Yeah. So this is another option to make this tree smaller. Okay. So we added another feature which is used to answer a very specific question, and the question is how much is your option worth assuming the opponent doesn't adjust. So if you, for example, stop check raising on the turn, how much it costs you in EV, assuming the opponent still thinks you play optimally. This may be something a bit artificial at first, but some of our users ask this question because they want to implement a simplified strategy at the tables, and they just want to make sure it's not very bad, assuming the opponent doesn't realize they're doing this. So we will try this with a turn check raise. So now we have check, continuation, but call, and then check. bet on the turn, and there are 3 options: check raise, call, and the fold. On this particular card, we are not check raising almost at all, but on some others we do. This is almost 6% overall. So now what we are going to do is calculate overall EV for OOP, which is 22.4. And now we can remove this option. So we go here and now choose eliminate card and selected path. And you can see that overall now it's 0. And what happened is that all the hands which were check raising before, they were added to a call. So now we can calculate overall EV again, and we see that OOP EV is smaller than before. Well, the difference is not very big, so that says that check raise on the turn is not very important. You can just always check call, assuming your opponent doesn't know you are never check raising, right? Because they would then design their strategy differently. So maybe we can try it with another option. I'm going to load it again, and now we can try second barrel, and on the river we go check, and there is over bet all in, right? There is a normal bet in this tree, but as well as over bet all in. So overall used quite often, 19% of the time. And now we're asking how much IP loses if they never implement that option. So we go here, again we choose eliminate card and selected path. And now we never overbet. And all the hands which overbet before, they were added to the next action when it comes to EV. So probably the smaller bet, but sometimes maybe a check. And we calculate results again. So IP had this EV before, and now it has this EV. So again, we see that this is not a big difference. Overall, when you eliminate one of the bet sizes, usually you don't lose much EV overall. This new solution, though, is much more exploitable, which suggests that if the opponent knows that we are not using this option, then they would play differently. So yeah, there are 2 questions which we can ask. One is how much we lose assuming opponent doesn't adjust, and another is how much we lose assuming opponent does adjust. And to answer the second one, we would just solve the tree from scratch, but we would eliminate a lin here, right? And then build tree, go and compare the EVs. Okay, so that's it. And the last feature I want to talk about is subtree configuration from preflop. So let's say we have a preflop solution, the one I used before, so 20 BB heads up. And what we want to do here is, let's say there is a min raise and the call. We choose one of the flops. Let's say this one, maybe this one. And usually in preflop trees, post-flop play is very simplistic, right? But sometimes you would like to use the ranges from here and solve it with more advanced betting structure. So to do that, you can go to the flop and choose create subtree configuration. And now it uses the ranges from preflop for both players. And it fills the preflop post-flop play the way it was filled here. But what we can do now, we can add more options here. For example, we can add all-ins here, maybe 2 bet sizes here as well. And maybe here we can change to be more interesting, like this maybe. And this new tree is still very small. This new tree you can build and solve. Right. Maybe we are going to wait for like 2 steps, so it shouldn't take much time, even with screen recording software on. I will just do 2 steps, so it's something reasonably close. Yeah. And now you have this solution with those options, right? So you have you can do it like this, and then if you want to go back, you load the big tree again, and you can choose a different spot, for example, after a limp, and erase and the call. Choose one of the flops and go to create subtree configuration, and now you can edit the bed sizes again to solve this particular spot. You can also change the port, of course. So that would be the simplest way to use preflop solutions to create post-flop ones, which could use more advanced bet instruction. Okay, so let's see if we have, those are features which we added, like the big one is ICM and also some smaller ones. There are also a lot of fixes in this release. I'm not going to talk about all of them, but let me go through the list and see if there's anything to comment on. Yeah, so one thing is before usually we got a lot of complaints that those numbers here on 13 by 13 grid are not visible when the window is small. So now we try to do it in a way that they are visible even with very small space available. At some point they are going to disappear anyway because the font doesn't fit, but now they appear much sooner. So for people who use lower resolution screens, that should be way more usable. Another small thing which might be interesting is that the solver now never folds the nuts. So go like here and then. So now 6-3 is the nut hand, and the solver even in like on the fresh tree it never folds those hands. So yeah, it's a bit different than it was before, because before it needed some time to realize this hand is like the best possible hand, and even after some iterations it was still folding, but not anymore. Yeah, there are some fixes in aggregation reports as well, but those are undercover, under the bonnet, so to speak. So it should just work now. Yeah, and there's also rebuild forgotten streets. So when you have a small save, let's say you can do small tree, use a small save. You can rebuild the whole tree doing like this: rebuild forgotten streets. And this is useful when you have a small save but you don't have a full tree, but you want to solve it from scratch, for example. So you rebuild this, then you reset, the strategies, right? And then you can solve it. So if you don't have a config, then you can use that. You have to be very careful with that option though, because if you use it on a big tree which doesn't fit in your RAM, it's going to blow up the memory, and that will freeze your computer and will like the result in a reset. So you have to make sure you have enough memory to use that option. Yeah, and that's about. There are also some more fixes and some functionality, as well as the licensing system uses new version now. So like rare problems we have with it, like connection problems, should be resolved by now. Okay, so that's it. I hope you like the new functionality, and as usual with release, there are probably a lot of bugs which we didn't spot while testing. So if anything doesn't work or you think it doesn't work, just drop us an email or write in our 2+2 thread, so we are going to help you. Okay, thank you.